Expedition 33 is a game about family that tries to kill you, but still, family. But what if instead of a team of 32-year-old adults, the expedition was made up of just one 16-year-old girl? Could she get every Pictos, beat every boss, and do everything else in Clair Obscur alone? Well, let's find out. And in case you've already seen me beat the entire base game with only Maelle, skip to this timestamp to get to the 100% stuff. Or just watch it all over again. Why not? The first challenge of this challenge is the challenge of reaching Maelle, so we can challenge the challenge. Because while she's right there with us, she does not start in our party. In fact, she starts as our first mandatory opponent. So after trouncing her, Gustav enjoys a brief rendezvous with Sophie before she dashes to the dock for romance. And then they find that she has disappeared. So the expedition is on its way. We meet up with Lune and have a brief battle with this big boy, and then are forced to fight our first boss of the challenge, Evaque. And without the power of Pictos or stat upgrades, I completely bungle this, the easiest boss of the game, and I die. I'm just failing all over the place, and we're not even at the start of the challenge. And the second time I try it, all right, I gotta parry this or I'm dead. Can't get past the first freaking boss fight. Gustav falls while Evaque is still around half health, so I'll have to depend on Lune. But I lock in. I parry every single one of his attacks. And as is tradition in these challenges, a woman did all the work, and the man, who is nothing more than a lazy bum, steals the credit and takes the final blow. Men, am I right? But now that my team has trounced this trollop, we can finally head through to the flying waters, avoiding all enemies and dashing to the manor. And there we meet the woman of the day, Maelle.
Let's dance!
With full access to all resources, Maelle will have a much more fluid journey through the game, and Pictos will provide her with much needed stat increases. Their skills can be learned by winning 4 battles with them equipped, so I'll be rotating through them as the game progresses to acquire all of their abilities, or Lumina. And she already has several very important Pictos: Dead Energy, which will give her more AP when she kills an enemy, and Critical Burn. And we'll definitely talk about the burn status a little bit later when she has access to a better weapon. I also give her the Swift Stride skill. This will help her out a ton. If the enemy is burning when you strike them with this skill, Maelle will transition into her Virtuose stance. In this stance, she deals 300% damage with every one of her attacks, and she'll get a ton of other benefits that we'll talk about later. Because now it's time for her first battle with the Creator. Oh god, the Curator. This battle is a tutorial, and it teaches the player about jump counters. I thought jump is a different button. Jump is a different button, guys. And I'm eventually able to dispatch him. But for now, it's time to backtrack a bit. Right after she fights the Gestural Merchant, of course, since she has the exposing attack Pictos. And the backtracking has to happen because I skipped over every single power-up that required fighting an enemy. In addition, I need Maelle to learn her Lumina, so I fight some Mine Nevrons. Fortunately, in a party of 3, shooting all 3 of their mines will defeat the entire posse, making them the ideal battle for grinding. However, these Clawboy Nevrons are not so easy to take out. Their attacks are extremely quick and quite punishing, and on my first go-round, I'm only able to guard 1 of their 5 attacks. I suck. And my timing clearly needs some work, because the next set of attacks hits the mark and I die. But on the rematch, I'm able to pull myself together, parry this guy's attacks, and punish him with a burn. And I'm glad I did, because these guys are guarding the Marking Shots Pictos. This ability gives my shots a 20% chance to apply the marked status, which increases the damage of the next attack by 50%. I also return the rosin to this Ashen dude, and he gives me a healing tint, which I am certain will be important later. And while I do try to fight him once, I lose miserably and I just give up. It's actually more important in the long run to keep him alive, and we will circle back to that that later. Much later, like near the end of the video. So I don't bother to fight him again. But then Maelle faces her first real challenge, the Chromatic Lancelier. I start by hitting him in his weak point, and it does a ton of damage. However, after expertly hitting my first parry, his second attack completely wrecks Maelle, and I die. And after a bunch more fails, I finally figure out the timing, get into Virtuose stance, hit a masterful counter, and shoot his weak spot for the kill. This nabs me the Augmented Attack Pictos. And while this isn't useful right now, it will be later because there are some really fun things that I can do with my basic attack. And let me take a second to highlight what will be the underlying theme of this challenge. I just needed to get good. If you get good, you take 0 damage. Anyway, I then head over to one of my favorite enemies in the game, a mime. The only way to effectively take out these guys is to break them. And given that I know their attack patterns pretty well after fighting a bajillion of them on my first playthrough, I'm feeling confident for once. I have initiative, so I use offensive switch to apply the defenseless status, and then I immediately use spark to become more defensive again, because I need to parry the mime's hand attack, which I do expertly, massively increasing his break meter. I applied guard up next turn just in case the mime gets a hit. However, rather than parrying, I elect to dodge the mime's hammer attack. That attack can cause the silence status, which would prevent Maelle from using skills, which would be really bad. Next, Swift Stride brings Maelle into Virtuose stance, and her next counter completely fills the break meter. This means it's time to use Fleuret Fury. This not only breaks the mime, but also keeps Maelle in the Virtuose stance, meaning she'll continue to do increased damage. And at this point, I take a risk. I shoot him once, and this shot applies the mark status. That means I can now combo into Per Se. This does massive damage to any marked enemy and finishes off the mime. And this is a great way to finish off weakened enemies, so you'll probably see me use this combo multiple times during the challenge. And you'll also be seeing a lot of the mime costumes. Because let's be real, if you're not using the mime costumes, you're not playing this game right. So with that, I dash back to the floating waters, help out this white Nevron by giving him a mine, and get a useless weapon for Lune. But as I mentioned, this gift of charity will eventually pay off. So after I get wrecked by another silent soldier, why didn't I freaking heal before that battle? I exact my revenge. And then I fight one of my favorite archetypes in this game, a Burgeon. And what I mean when I say fight is, of course, that I almost immediately die to Toxic Spit. I suck. However, this attack isn't too hard to parry, but on the rematch, things initially look dire. I, of course, immediately get hit again by Toxic Spit, and this causes the Exhaust status. This status prevents Maelle from gaining AP, which makes the battle a lot harder, but I rally and use Spark to inflict burns, and I switch her into defensive status so I can stall. Unfortunately, her exhaustion wears off immediately, and she's able to parry almost all of the Burgeon's strikes and heal. I then immediately parry the next set of Toxic Spitballs, and then I switch her into Virtuose stance. I dodge the next set of attacks because I want to play it safe, but then I'm able to inflict the mark status with some shots, and I parlay that into Per Se, dealing a ton of damage. So I get her back into Virtuose stance, and with her second attack in a row, she's able to break the Burgeon with Fleuret Fury. But the bliss of my genius is short-lived, and 3 of the next 4 hits get me. This brings Maelle into critical condition, but I'm able to rally, parry the next set of spitballs, mark him with a shot, and then finish him off with a massive Per Se, dealing over 6,000 damage. And this monster yields Augmented Counter 1. And this is hugely useful because I'll be relying on counter attacks a lot in this challenge. You know, when I can get them. And I will need them in the next boss battle against Goblu. And of course, as I alluded to, Augmented Counter is only useful if you succeed at parrying and countering the boss's attacks, which I definitely do not do on the first try. Damn, missed it. And I really get in a pickle when the boss grows flowers, because you kind of have to destroy those flowers. If you don't, they turn into shields, and then all of your AP get eaten away. And of course, that really doesn't matter if you're unable to hit parries, which I can't, and the boss kills you, which he does. So I get back in there, and I cannot parry any of his first 3 attacks effectively. The delayed bounce timing is just rough. I do, however, have enough enough AP to take out his flowers and perform an offensive switch. Unfortunately, he immediately regenerates them, but because I parry his next attack, I have the AP to strike down his blossoms and spark him to switch back to defensive form. But then, something terrible happens. Oh my god, the cat just farted like an insane fart. And maybe it's because of my pungent pussy that I'm able to dodge the next couple of attacks. But that doesn't matter because I whiff on the next strike and Maelle's petals get plucked. I was so freaking close. I was so close. I was so close. Cat, why must you fart while I'm doing things? On try number 3, which will hopefully be the charm, we get a strong start with an offensive stance counter. Then we get a burn going with Spark. And after another counter, I Swift Strike into Virtuose form with full AP. His flowers start up here, and after getting rid of them with some shots, I switch straight out of Virtuose stance. And this might seem like a weird choice, but I actually need the AP from defensive stance parries in case he summons more flowers, which he does. Normally, dodging gets you 0 AP and parrying nets you 1, but in defensive stance, dodging gets you 1 AP and parrying procures 2. So when low on AP, it's often best that I just stay defensive. So anyway, I shoot down the flowers again and I stay out of Virtuose stance for now and go to offensive stance. And after another counter, his break meter is just about full, he has no flowers, and I have full AP. That means that now is the time to go into Virtuose stance for big damage. But unfortunately, I didn't pay attention. I fucked up. Maelle's Swift Strike only brings Maelle into the Virtuose stance if the enemy is burning. And so because the enemy wasn't burning, Swift Strike simply brings Maelle back into stanceless. But that's okay, because I recover with a good parry and I start stalling. And rather than using Spark to inflict burn, I shoot once, Burning Shot activates, and then I'm able to use Swift Strike. And the counter afterward does massive damage. Oh yeah, that did plenty. But now that Kablu is below 1/4, he summons even more flowers. And this means that it's do or die. Rather than going after his flowers, I use Flirt Fury to stun him, and the break means that Maelle now gets a free turn. And with that turn, I shoot twice, hoping for a mark, which I don't get. That did not work. Wow. That was terrible. But I use the last of my AP to go for Per Se anyway, hoping for enough damage to kill. And my attack leaves him alive, so he absorbs all the flowers and gets a billion shields before he starts attacking. But I'm locked in now, and I'm able to avoid his attacks and switch to offensive stance. And he regrows his flowers, so this is my last chance. He jumps up to crush Maelle, and my heart is racing. If I don't counter at this moment, we're starting over. Got him. I think he's dead. Beautiful. And then I acquire a lap cat. Look at her. She's so good. And with that, we exit the flying waters, ready to seek out some more paintbrush friends. The Ancient Sanctuary is the only obstacle between us and the Gestrels, and there I initially try to take out a Patank. These enemies give some nice rewards, but they always have some sort of gimmick. This one creates a bunch of shields, and while Maelle definitely has the tools to beat it, namely her Breaking Rules skill which removes all enemy shields, I decide to leave it for now and come back later. And definitely not because I failed to kill it several times, definitely not that. But don't worry, because I get stunned and smacked down in my very first battle with the robust Sakapatate, and I die. But after the first death, I learned to dodge quick shield strikes, which are the hardest part of this battle, and it doesn't take much more to defeat him. Oh crap, there's still this. Got it. Oh, thank you, Jesus, I didn't lose that. But unfortunately, the ultimate Sakapatate has our number, and he's much stronger and faster than his predecessor. And while the battle initially goes well, things get dire when he raises his shield, because this changes his attack pattern, meaning Maelle gets wrecked. On the second try, though, I have a plan. By shooting him once, you can cause him to flinch and expose his weak point. And once you shoot that 3 times, his shield is down down for the count. And while he does unleash his full power, many of his attacks without a shield are easier to dodge. The electric bolts are more rhythmic, his smashing strike, okay, I messed that one up, but it is easier to dodge technically. But anyway, after a few counters, his break meter is full. For safety, I heal before countering more electric bolts. But then I enter Virtuose Stance, and Flurret Fury is enough to break him, skipping 2 attacks in a row. But once again, I play it safe, using Spark to go defensive and parrying 3 more thunder attacks. And since his health is now low, I use Swift Strike to go on the offense again and finish him off with a Flurret Fury, opening up the Gestral Village. And while I would love to bookend this chapter here, there is something very important that I need to do here to set Maelle up for the rest of the game. By participating in the Gestral tournament with Maelle, I can acquire an amazing weapon for her. But there's a problem. The final battle of the tournament is against Ciel, and while losing to her, which I do, doesn't result in a game over, it does result in gaining a weapon for her instead of one for Maelle. I need to win that battle. I have to win that battle. No. We're reloading our save. I cannot. No. No. And on the second try, things go a lot better. Maelle's initial counter does a ton of damage, and this propels me into Virtuose Stance. Sadly, I miss the dodge on her next attack, and I get marked. But it's too late for Ciel, because Maelle's next Flurret Fury takes her out. This gets me the Sword Medallum, and this journey is just getting started. Back in the Gestral Village, I have a quick chat with Golgra, who is literally the sexiest paintbrush I have ever seen. And then I also get wrecked by this daddy. I never thought that I could be turned on by a hulking behemoth with a 7-foot vagina mouth, but hey, human sexuality is weird and fluid and I'm down with it. And then I head to Esquier's nest, where I encounter yet another mime. And here we see the power of Maelle's new sword, because with this sword, she can start every battle in her Virtuose Stance. And in this stance, as I mentioned before, she does 200% additional damage with every single hit. That means I'm able to quickly break this mime and finish it off with a clutch parry, nabbing another baguette outfit. And I try to fight a peacoat here. While it initially goes well, I ultimately take the wrong actions and it flees. I did the wrong thing. Could have really used the extra 5 Lumina points, but I'll survive. Especially since we now meet the best character in the game. And Esquier loves rocks. Unfortunately, a rock has stolen his rock, and that rock is named Francois, so we gotta rock his shit to get it back. Francois starts with some shields, so I get rid of them with some shots and attack him. Unfortunately though, I am not ready for what comes next. Oh dear. That was so bad. You guys, I freaking fail. Yeah, you guessed it. I died. But fortunately, on my second try, I realized that this ice attack is just a rhythm challenge and I'm able to counter it. And I counter it the second time as well. And after that, I switch into Swift Stride and... That was so close, guys. Ah! Oh well. On my third try though, I take a slightly different strategy. I use Breaking Rules. This skill eliminates all of the enemy's shields, gives Maelle 1 AP for every shield she destroyed, and it puts her into offensive stance. Not to mention, the attack itself does damage even if the enemy has shields. And after this, I manage to parry Francois' attack, and then I use Spark for safety, switching Maelle into defensive form. I parry Francois' next attack, and my next strike defeats him. And he yields the augmented first strike Pictos, which will actually be hugely important because it does exactly what its name implies it does. And we deliver the rock we obtained from Francois to Esquier. Before leaving, I get revenge on the Peacoat. I feel better about that. And I upgrade Maelle's Medallum to level 9, getting her a bit more attack power. And she's gonna need it. Right after, she gets revenge on a Peacoat in the Ancient Sanctuary, plundering more of its resources. But like I said, she's gonna need it because I next want her to defeat the Chromatic Brawler, and the first attempt goes really well. Power of prayer. Not! But the second attempt actually goes really well. Gotta get this parry, you know?
Ready to parry.
Just kidding. It did not go well. This guy only has 2 attack patterns. The swingy dingy danker anchor, which is incredibly rhythmic, and a groundy poundy slammy whammy, which is the same but requires some jumpy wumpies to dodge. Unfortunately, he also has a ton of HP, and given the fact that I only have 1 character, missing even 1 parry is immediate death. And while I do reduce his health to about a quarter on my next attempt, I eventually miss that 1 parry and I die. So I give up because I literally don't even remember what reward he gives, and it might just be completely useless. And then I go to the hidden arena because I know exactly what rewards are there and I'm going to need them. This area has a gauntlet of 4 Gestral battles, and they provide some of the best Pictos available for this challenge, the Solo Pictos. Each one gives a huge boost to a lone fighter, and since Maelle will always be alone, these are crucial to her success. Last Stand Critical gives her a 100% critical rate, Accelerating Last Stand gives her the Rush status effect, Protecting Last Stand gives her the Shell status effect, and the final Pictos is the best of all, but it was the most painful to get. The Solo Fighter Pictos. This increases all damage by 50% when fighting alone, no questions asked. So with these new tools in hand, I dash back to the Chromatic Brawler to exact my revenge. I got this. I don't got this. I don't got this. It was going so well, and then it was not going so well. But the second time, I finally get good and take him out. And the reward is... Powerful Revive. That is a useless Picto. Wow. So I give up, because I literally don't even remember what reward he gives, and it might just be completely useless. Totally useless. And that is fine. But, you know, we killed the enemy. That's what I care about. And with that, we head to the Stone Wave Cliffs, and I think I lost the plot a bit. Big PP damage! Woo! But my big PP damage does yield the Confident Pictos, which halves incoming damage at the cost of not being able to heal, which I might use later. And I also get excited about the Breaking Counter Pictos. Oh, hold the frickin' phone. Because this counter increases break damage on counterattacks. So assuming I'm able to counter, no big deal. I always get the counter. GigaChad Gamer. I'll be able to stun enemies much more effectively. And speaking of being an effective fighter, I managed to take out another Peacoat, nabbing some more useful resources for later. And speaking of resources for later, I also help out this very sad looking crystal stack. And he kind of reminds me of the NPCs in Hollow Knight for some reason. Maybe it's the fact that he's clearly suffering from depression so stark that he can't even move. But once I give him 3 crystals, he reassembles himself and gives me the Auto Shell Pictos. Pretty useless given I have the solo version, but nice to have nonetheless. Did I mention that if I help all these guys, I get a huge reward later? Yeah, I did. But I do have to get through the next boss first. But who is it? Oh, it's Lantern Dude! Yes, Tantacles, it is Lantern Dude. In his first phase, this guy has 4 lanterns, and if you shoot them, he takes damage, and the lanterns are extinguished. And if you don't, he attacks with them. So I initially decide to shoot them. Unfortunately, though, I fail to realize that I've missed one of them, so I'll have to deal with it later. He immediately uses a Dark Explosion, which I fail to parry, and he afflicts me with the Exhaust status, preventing AP gain. And then the lantern I missed wrecks me as well. And sadly, at the end of his turn, he relights all of them, meaning now I have to take them out again. And after he performs a jump attack, which I again completely fail to parry, the lamps relight one more time. But since I gained 0 AP because of exhaustion, there's no way those lamps are going down. But you know who is going down? Me. Because I died. But I figure some stuff out on try number 2. For example, I completely dodge his first attack, though I do get hit by his lamp strikes. But this time I don't even bother with the lamp since I'm low on AP, and I once again get hit by a Dark Explosion. That was bad. That was so bad. But at this point, I actually start learning the timing of the lamp's attacks, and this will eventually be the key to beating this battle. But not yet. Wow. I cannot get these freaking parry. Maybe I just need more health, but I'm gonna try one more time and see what I can do. And on the next attempt, I take out the lamps, and this time I just switch directly into defensive stance. And this is big, because as I mentioned before, dodging in defensive stance gives me extra AP. This means I can take out a lamp, do some damage, apply mark, and use Mezzo Forte to stay in defensive stance and restore some of my AP. And after dodging the next dark explosion, I just continue to stay in defensive stance, dodging as much as possible. And I do eventually get a clutch parry that deals massive damage on the counter. I then transition to Virtuose stance, and I manage to get 3 massive dodges, because now the Lamp Master is not only within kill range, but also within breaking range. Oh, is there a second form? Yep, there's a second form. Of course there's a freaking second form. I'm an idiot. Unfortunately, because his second form starts out stunned, he skips his first turn. But then he performs a huge combo, and somehow I manage to avoid it. But the badness is just getting started, because now we have the Lamp Trial, a memory game where the boss telegraphs the order in which the lamps need to be hit. I did it wrong. I did it. You guys, I did it wrong. You guys, I did it so wrong. Oh, I'm in so much trouble. So much trouble indeed. And the monster thwacks me, but does not kill me. His next attack is a jump counter that I, of course, miss, but it doesn't kill me either. But don't worry, because you know what comes next. Okay, well, let's do that again, shall we? On the next try, I hit all the lamps and use Spark to enter defensive stance. And I end phase 1 in Virtuose stance before entering phase 2 with Lampman's stagger gauge at maximum. And I learn a tough lesson here. Okay, that's the way to do it. You want to start with him almost broken in the next phase, I think. Or not. Okay, never mind. Yeah, if you break the boss before phase 2, he stays broken after the transition. But if you don't, the break meter resets. But fortunately, I managed to dodge his first 4 attacks anyway, so that's okay. I hit the lamp pattern, I wreck with a Flurret Fury, and everything is going well. But don't worry, because you know what's coming next. Right away. Uh-oh. Oh, it's that! I messed up. I'm silenced. I messed up so bad. This game is honestly my game of the year, guys. Literally in the top 5 of all games I've ever played. Because what do I look for in a game? I look for grand victories, and more importantly, I look for massive suffering. And even more importantly, I look for a grand story that is a roller coaster that matches the scale of the victories and the losses. And guys, this is the one. I'm so in love with this game. And yes, now I'm gonna give you what you want because I don't have enough AP to engage with the lamp trial on the next turn. So he hits me with a massive Sword of Light and I die. That was terrible. You guys, that was awful. Like, absolutely freaking awful. And I fucking loved every moment of it, guys. I did. About 1,000,000 attempts later, though, I figure out my strategy. During the first phase, go for the kill by using the lamps to parry. That's what I gotta do. I dodge his first attack and then do just that, getting a clutch parry right away and bringing his break gauge to full, meaning I can break him on the next turn and stay in Virtuose stance. And to finish off phase 1, I spark. Good, got it. Okay, we're in defensive for the next part. We are in defensive for the next part. This is good. I dodged the first few attacks, but unfortunately, I missed the final strike. And that is bad news. Am I dizzy? I'm dizzy. Oh no. And the dizzy status is so frustrating, but such an amazing design choice. It makes it much harder to connect with shots because it messes with your aiming. This makes hitting the lamps a lot harder, but I do eventually get them. I use Mezzo Forte to stay in defensive form, I hit the jump counter, and I go for the lamps again, and I get them. But then I bring myself into Virtuose stance. He gets me twice with his next set of attacks, and unfortunately, I'm now exhausted again, but at least in Virtuose stance. I can hit the lamps, do big damage, and heal. And miraculously, I hit the next jump counter, hit the lamps again, and transition to Virtuose stance one more time, which means I need to hit every single dodge on the next set of attacks. Oh no. Oh! I'm so bad at this. Oh, he got all 4 freaking hits. My God. That was terrible. Okay, same thing though, just gotta heal. So on the next attack, whoa. got it. Oh my God. Clutch. Totally clutch right there. Holy frack. I cannot believe I got it. And with that, I'm able to Flirt Fury and break him, skipping his next turn. So with the boss broken, I get an extra turn. I use Mezzo Forte to get extra AP, and then I use Spark to burn him. And the burn damage finishes him off. Dead! Holy frick! That was actually really fun. Unfortunately, though, an unimportant character that we don't care about now becomes inaccessible because raisins. And we acquire a boat. And that boat is Esquier. And he's a friend boat that we did not have to purchase. Don't buy a boat, but it is acceptable to use your suspiciously large friend as a boat. With a new chapter comes a new cat display modality, the lap cat. But we don't have time for sleeping felines because Maelle needs Lumina points, and I briefly head to the Dark Shores, which is a terrible idea. However, by luring the ghosty guys away, I can nab their valuables. It's just some chroma and a few Lumina points, but every extra bit of stuff I can get matters in a challenge like this. And right outside the Dark Shores, there's a lovely prize, the Dead Energy 1 Pictos. This Pictos will give me back 2 AP if I kill anything, and it will stack with other forms of dead energy. This will make battles with generic enemies much safer. But before we can have any fights with enemies, I have a serious discussion with Aurora Borealis. You have to choose the bowl or my lap. You can't have Cat. Hey. I am trying to play a game here, okay? You need to let me play the goddamn game. Do I have to discipline you? Will my cat destroy my hands, or will I make it through this game? Stay with us. Heading to the Forgotten Battlefield, we get our final tutorial battle meant to teach about gradient counters. Gradient attacks, which are strong attacks that turn the screen black and white, can only be parried with a gradient counter. The first attack of this battle is not a gradient counter, and I die. And I also didn't realize that the game automatically put Verso and Lune in my party, so I let them get whacked. They have no defenses, that's hilarious. The second time, though, I at least managed to parry one of his strikes, and I take him out relatively quickly. That being said, I have a skill that makes every generic battle in this area a breeze, Fencer's Fury. It only hits once, but that one hit destroys all enemies, so I'm able to breeze through the rest of this section, including the merchant, who gets broken right away and dies. And he yields the Inverted Affinity Pictos, which will be useful later, I think. It inflicts the inverted status at the start of the battle, which prevents healing, but it also gives another damage increase of 50%. But I don't equip it yet, because now it's time to fight Dualiste. And this fight is all about parrying, and things are looking good.
Okay.
That is an excellent start right there. Maelle's next Flirt Fury is a banger, and I immediately hit the next parry. I'm kind of on it right now. I cannot believe that this is going so well. You know what's going to happen next, right? Well, not yet. Wow, and he's broken. This is good, people. This is good. Let's burn him and go defensive. We're going defensive right now. Uh-oh. Oh, shoot. Okay, I did well. So I play it safe and use Mezzo Forte to stay in defensive stance. I get whacked twice on the next attack though, so I've got to lock in. And I do, because Dualiste actually gets 2 attacks in a row, and I manage to parry every hit of his next combo. So I transition to Virtuose stance, or at least I think I do, but something is weird. My final attack of the phase does kind of paltry damage, and I realize what happened. And now things are gonna get... Wait, he wasn't burning. No! I forgot to make him burn before I did that. All I need to do was shoot him. But I'm locked in to dying, which means we're starting the whole thing over again. I messed all of that up. Wow. On my second try, I get close to the end of phase 1, but then I get wrecked and have to heal. That means I'm once again stanceless. But I end the phase with a parry, starting phase 2 with full health. And I immediately miss almost every block on the next attack. But I know I can parry the next one. Oh! No, I can't. That was the worst. That went as badly as it could have. Terrible. That was terrible. Yeah. So let's do that again. On the next try, though, phase 2 starts off with a bang. Okay, so we're in Virtuose with full health and a ton of AP. This is the one, guys. Oh no, he gets 2 attacks in a row.
Okay.
Oh no. That sucked. And soon after that... You guys, I love this battle. This game is amazing. And it's so amazing that I have to try again. I end the first phase in Virtuose stance, albeit with only half health. And at first, things are not looking great because I missed some big counters. But during his explosion attack, I lock in. Good! 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 This is good! I heal and get lucky with his next attack. It's a big combo, but I don't have to parry every hit because it ends in a gradient counter. This means that as long as I hit the gradient parry, I get a massive bolus of damage. Good! That was fantastic. I got hit once and I still got to counter, but I play it safe and I transition to defensive stance, getting a burn at the same time. I missed the next counter set, but I once again lock in. I need to stop saying that for the next set, blocking all but one hit. But now I see that he's very close to being broken. And he's burning, so I think I have to take a risk here. So I switch back to Virtuose stance. I counter the next explosion attack. Okay, I can break him. I can break him right now. This is the one, guys.
Precision.
Come on, come on, come on. Okay. And now we play defensive. We go right back into defensive stance. Dueliste wastes a turn casting inverted on Maelle, and the next few attacks will determine the course of the battle. He once again uses his gradient strike, and while I do take some damage, I hit the counter. And I am completely on fire for the next Stormblood attack. Got it. Oh my freaking god! He's gonna die right now! Oh, or not. No, he is! He's dead! Woo! Yeah! With the death of Dueliste, we acquire a new Pictos, Combo Attack. This Pictos makes physical attacks turn into a double strike. And this skill will have some use, I think, but it's going to be much more useful in another challenge. But the challenge now is a battle with Minoko. And while the timing is tough, resulting in an initial death, my second try is also a failure. Damn. But on the third try, I do in fact get good. And by get good, what I mean is just heal appropriately and play defensively. But he does die to a final parry, so hey, it worked out. Maelle gets a little bit cracked here with some extra Lumina points, and this allows me to increase her offense even more. And the most important Pictos that she'll need for the rest of the game is Burning Mark. If an enemy is marked and Maelle attacks them, that enemy will be inflicted with Burn. This will allow allow her to more easily transition into her virtuose stance as well as do additional damage while playing defensively. And our next destination is Old Lumiere, which is going to present a huge problem because I fight another Gestrel merchant who has the healing counter Pictos, which will also be quite useful eventually. And also, look at this adorable cat adjusting herself. But okay, now the problem. Maelle leaves the party for a brief moment, and this means I have to use my movement skills to avoid enemies with my sublimely weak party of 3 leftovers. And the women in this section are a bit too fond of chop suey. Girl, forget about me. Forget about me, I'm gay! It's Pride Month! Stop chasing me, ladies! But I eventually am assaulted by one of these jealous jiggle ladies. No! And within 3 seconds, I die. I'm in so much trouble. I cannot fight them. This is going to be the hardest part of the game because I literally have no stats on these characters and I cannot fight. And apparently I suck at foiling feminine wiles. No! Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me. No! And once again, I die. But once I finally reach the end of this section, our feisty feminist is back in action. And just in time to realize that Verso is in the party of my next battle, which means I gotta run.
I'll be right back!
But once Verso is removed, these swordy maidens are no issue. But at the end of this section comes our worst boss battle yet. Renoir, because one of Renoir's attacks, if not blocked, simply erases Maelle completely. That means the battle will just end. Not that it matters, because the first time he uses this attack, Maelle's HP drops to 0 just from the pre-erasing strike. Fail! So I decide to do a little backtracking. First, I head to this stupid maze puzzle, which I am uniquely incapable of figuring out. Oh, this one? Is it this one? Now that's closed. But what about that one? But I eventually get through and grab the wood boards, defeat the paint cage to grab the most disappointing reward in the entire game. It's white. Oh, it's just chroma? What? And fight the mini-boss of this section, which promptly kills me. That was terrible. But do I get the better of him the second time? Just no. And after I die a third time, I start asking the important questions. Could I parry one thing that's not a gradient? That'd be great. But after the 4th death, I realize what I've been overlooking. He has a little weak point back there, doesn't he? Didn't even notice that. And that weak point is the key to this battle. Unfortunately, it's kind of hard to hit, but when I do hit it, he takes capped damage. That means there's no reason to bother doing anything but hit that weak point, with the exception of occasionally breaking him to skip his turn, of course. And of course, it would be really nice to be able to avoid his attacks, too. Did I just die in one hit? But if you bang your head against the wall enough times, the wall eventually breaks. Got him. So we get a few more Color of Lumina. I also do the red light, green light puzzle against this dude, which is pretty gosh darn cool, honestly, and gives an amazing ability. Healing Parry. And this Pictos completely changes the game, because now I don't have to hit all parries to heal. If I miss 1 or 2, I still get a benefit, especially if I'm in defensive form. Huge AP gains in addition to the healing. But then we're back to Renoir. Unfortunately, I switched up my weapon, not sure when, so I don't start the battle in Virtuose stance. But I do hit the first jump counter, so I've got that going for me. The weapon I do have equipped though switches Maelle to defensive stance when she does a regular attack in stanceless form. So I do that, and then I manage to parry 2 of the next 4 attacks in Renoir's combo. And you can already see that healing parry kicking in, making my HP loss pretty minimal. I then shoot Renoir to burn him, and then I switch to Virtuose stance. And I only miss 1 parry on this next combo, but the one right after does not go nearly as well. And on his next attack, I finally hit a counter, an enormous gradient counter, which is absolutely key. But now the moment of truth. Renoir tries to erase Maelle, and I hope you can see how tense and stressed I was during this battle. Got it. Oh my god, I got the gradient. Yes! Thank God! But my troubles have just begun, because now Renoir summons 2 friends, and these friends strengthen Renoir's attacks, adding extra hits to each one. So to make life a little easier, I use Spark on the left one to deal damage, switch to defensive mode, and burn it, which should kill it on the next turn. Which doesn't matter, because here's what happened next. No. Okay, next time. So about that next time. Did not get it. I really thought I had it. But the next time, I get a little bit farther and even manage to take out the 2 side pieces. But on Renoir's next attack... Oh, he stunned me. And Renoir now calls upon his masks, and I cannot guard because I'm stunned. Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's so bad. Oh, I'm in so much trouble. I can't dodge. I'm stunned. I'm exhausted now. I'm in so much trouble, but I survived that attack with just a sliver of health left, and even better, I'm no longer stunned. So now is the time to... Ooh, I said I wasn't going to say that anymore. So now is the time to get it together, especially since I did not lock in, you guys. You guys, he got the extra attacks without pedals. I don't think I perform well under pressure, guys. I need to just go live with a nice family on a farm where I can relax and take my time to try again. I unfortunately don't manage to hit Renoir's pedals fast enough, and they heal him. But despite that, I counter his next attack and then manage to parry his next vanishing attempt. I go defensive, wait out the next strike, and fortunately, even though I miss some of the parries, I do not get broken by his next melee attack. So I heal and weather the storm of his next set. But then I see a way to win. One aspect of this game that became available after Lamp Guy that we haven't talked about is gradient attacks. These attacks are charged up when your character uses AP, they don't require any AP to use, and most importantly, you get an extra turn after you use one. And Maelle's gradient attack, Virtuose Strike, deals damage and switches her into Virtuose form, of course, tripling her damage. And that is exactly what I use. Because now... I can do this. I think I should be able to break him. I hope. I broke him. That was good. That was very good. So Renoir skips his turn, but I know that he's going to get 2 turns in a row. Now what do? Now I go for damage. I have to go for some sort of damage. I'm in trouble. I go Spark. This drops me back into defensive form. And then he brings out the masks. That's terrible. That's exhausting. Wow. But on Renoir's next attack... Come on. Got it! Oh my god! Yes! This is it! This is it! I don't even care. This is gonna do some damage. Let's... Power of prayer, guys. Oh my god. Come on. Yes! F yes! Oh my god. With Renoir defeated, our boat gets an upgrade. He can now bust through coral reefs, which means that now I can reach the blacksmiths. These 2 monsters have some powerful weapons in Pictos, but they'll only relinquish them if I beat them in battle, which does not go well the first time, but the second time goes a lot better. Now, when I said they had some nice weapons, I kind of lied. They have one nice weapon, Brulerum. This weapon inflicts burn with every single critical hit, and given that Maelle has a 100% critical hit rate with her solo Pictos, this could come in very handy. Maybe. We'll see, I guess. And let me take a moment to tell you some more stuff I love about this game. It puts powerful enemies out into the world, luring you to fight them, but you have no idea how powerful any enemy is based on its appearance. This reminds me of how Xenoblade Chronicles treats the player. Yes, there are some arbitrary boundaries to your progression, but enemies are largely available to fight regardless of your level, which is why I get completely baited by this Evaque. It's just an impossible fight, but I'm not really mad about it. I'm gonna fight him later. I'm not gonna fight him right now. We're not doing that. But then I enter the Visages, and after I fight the merchant there, I realize something. Oh, wait a minute. It just got real, guys! Because the resplendent chroma catalyst the merchant has allows me to upgrade Maelle's weapons past level 10. And the first thing I do is raise Medallum to level 12. Because now Medallum not only starts Maelle in Virtuose stance, but also doubles any burns she inflicts in that stance. This means going into defensive stance from Virtuose stance using Spark is now extremely powerful. So forget about that other weapon. It's Jover. But back to Visages. I have to defeat 3 mini-bosses here to weaken the main boss, but wait. The cat's back! Oh my goops! Hello! She is literally the cutest cat, and your cat is not as cute as she is, and that is not up for discussion. But okay, back to Visages for real this time. The first boss is Joy. I take out the Flyer first since they'll dodge just about all skill damage, and that fills up my AP because of dead energy. And then next, I foolishly attack the shield dude, who, as you might guess, had shields, meaning 2 of my hits are blocked. But fortunately, I survive the assault by the mini-boss and defeat the shield guy on my next turn. And after parrying the mini-boss's attack and countering, the battle is feeling pretty good. Which I did not do that time. Oh! Really bad. Really bad, guys. That was so terrible. Correction, the battle was feeling pretty good until I died. But how does it go on the next attempt? Uh-oh. So bad. But I play more defensively on try number 3, and Medallum does work, killing the boss on a burn. The second mini-boss I tackle is Anger. I take out the Flyer with a single shot, I kill the Joyful guy with some more, and all that's left is the shield dude. Unfortunately, I mess up and use Flirt Fury instead of getting rid of the rest, but somehow I was about to say locked in again. No, but miraculously, I'm able to parry his first attack. And because I parried, I have enough AP to use Flirt Fury again, and Maelle maxes out her damage. He hits next with a Gradient, which I also parry, and then the boss gives him a second attack. But he prepares to counter instead of attacking, which means you're about to die, buddy. You are about to die. Like, for serious, you're about to die. You're about to get broken and die. Wow. Which means there's just one more mini-boss before the big kahuna. And there's one more enemy I need to fight before that. The Chromatic Ramasseur. The only way to beat this guy is to parry his attacks, which will eventually lead to him being broken. Try number 1. I got this. Wow. I don't got this. Holy crap. But maybe I'll get the next one. Try number 2. So bad. I gotta say, this lighting makes my teeth look really white. Way to focus on the positive, buddy, but maybe you should focus less energy on silver lining the situation and more on actually beating the enemy. But somehow, on my next try... Thank God. Okay, that's one. Got it, okay. Great. Those 2 attacks break him, so I go all out on damaging moves, burning him as well with my shots. But he wakes up, and after a few more parries... Whew! Winner! He is broken again. My next attack brings him way down low. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a risk here. Got it. That guy sucks. Wow. And this enemy yields Augmented Counter 2, which will absolutely matter later, whether or not I remember to mention it in this script. But for now, we move on to Sadness, which is a Flyer. I kill the Joyful Sword guy with a Fencer's Fury, but the Flyer dodges, and I once again didn't consider the fact that the shield guy has shields. What the fuck? But I, of course, am completely locked in. I sounded like Squidward when I said that. SpongeBob, I don't want want to hear about Bubble Buddy, SpongeBob. Okay, I'm locked in. Let's go. And I, of course, am a compulsive liar. I was not locked in at all. I just didn't do it. I didn't do it. I don't know, guys. Anyway, try number 3. I start by shooting down the joyful swordsman, and then I wreck the shield of the shield dude and take him out with a Flurret Fury. His death restores my AP, so all that's left is to dodge. But the flyer doesn't even attack. He just summons hats instead. The sadness mask inflicts exhaustion, but it doesn't matter because Maelle is able to completely wreck the flyer with her shots, ending the battle before it even began. And before I fight the main boss, I head back to the curator to fully upgrade her medallum and give Maelle the rest of my acquired Lumina points. But then, it's time to fight Visages. The first phase features a mirror and some masks. You need to attack the mirror and shoot out the eyes of the masks. Unfortunately though, with every mask emergence comes a big attack. Most of these are telegraphed in some way though, allowing me to shoot quick once they're through, provided I survive, which I do initially, and I manage to defeat every single mask. No more masks in the mirror! Woo! But with the masks defeated, it's time for his ultimate attack. Got it? Okay, that was very lucky. Yeah, I survived that, and I moved on to phase 2, and I'm pretty sure I won't survive this. I start the battle with minimal AP and somewhat low on health. So since I have attack, lifesteal, and combo attack abilities equipped, I sacrifice my Virtuose stance to perform a regular attack. This deals reasonable damage, but not unseasonable damage, but more importantly, heals a bunch of my HP. So I guess what I said earlier was right. It did come in handy. What did I say earlier? I don't remember anymore. Why did I write that? And that gambit saves me because I basically bungle Visage's whole next attack. And honestly, I wasn't ready for what came next. See those little lines connecting Maelle to the ground? Those will be my undoing. Terrible. Maybe you noticed that Maelle didn't do anything during that last attack. She just got whacked. Well, that's because those lines are an indicator of the binding status. And when inflicted with this status, dodging is impossible. The only way to avoid damage is to parry. But since I didn't clock the ropes, Visages dashed my hopes. So nope. But on the next try, I make it through phase 1 in a good place. So I shoot Mask Keeper a few times, which actually does pretty respectable damage, and then I use Flurret Fury. I survive his next combo, but just barely, and I heal. And then I survive his next attack, and now I get lucky. I shoot Mask Keeper a few times, and this results in a mark. And since I have healing mark, I can use a gradient attack to strike him and restore some HP while still maintaining offensive momentum. This means I also get another turn, and I have enough AP to use Spark, switch to defensive form, and, of course, burn him enough that every burn tick does 9,999 damage. And in defensive form, he's actually not doing too much damage at all. But now, there's a problem. There's always a problem. I am full of problems. Why can't I not have problems just one time? He applies fire to his sword, and his next set of strikes burns me. Darn it, I'm about to die from burns. I did not die from burns. Wow! I get a mark on my next set of shots, which heals me, but I get a little paranoid. I have to heal. I don't have a choice. But I hit most of the next attack's parries, so I go back into defensive stance one more time with a spark. But now, things get real, because now, for every hit Mask Keeper scores on Maelle, he will get a free shield point, making my job that much harder. But in defensive stance, it's not all bad, and the first set of attacks leaves me battered and buttered, but not broken. But I shoot him to heal a bit and switch to Virtuose stance. I parry the next volley the best I can, shoot again to heal again, and switch back to defensive stance again. And this is where I finally realize exactly how much trouble I'm in. She's bound. I can't dodge. I forgot. I forgot she was bound, guys. I was trying to dodge, and I was like, why am I not dodging? I kind of got the time in there. No. she was bound. Which means we're starting over. But don't worry, I will not force you to listen to my commentary about the first part of this battle again. Suffice it to say that I utilized defensive stance almost exclusively. But then, on phase 2... right away. But on the next try, I make it farther than ever before, again by prioritizing defensive stance. But despite a miserable performance against a burning sword, I managed to use marks to heal and use Mezzo Forte to buy more time. But then something great happens. Maskkeeper wastes a turn applying powerful shell and speed, and that means I have an opening to strike. I think he just choked, because now I can just do extra burn on him and maybe he'll die even on this turn. Dead! Freaking dead! Burn! Burn is broken! Burn is broken, guys. Now that we've defeated Visages, it's time to destroy a giant woman. So I head over to Sirene's Island, which is literally my favorite area in the game. Many of the generic enemies here are flyers, meaning they can be dispatched in one hit. But for those that can't, I pick up the effective heal Pictos, which does exactly what is written on the tin. It doubles all healing. And right near it is the Chromatic Greatsword Cultist. My first 2 attacks do plenty of damage, but then the cultist stabs herself to create shields, which is a problem. Because as I've alluded to before, I have 4 ways that I can break shields. I can shoot them, which uses up AP. I can parry and counter, which gives AP back, but will only remove 1 shield. I can use breaking rules, which removes all shields, but places Maelle in defensive stance. Or I can use my skills and attacks. And this time, I elect to use breaking rules, which results in this gem right here. Oh crap, that's offensive. Oh, that's bad. That was terrible. Try number 2, I shoot to remove the shields and mark her, and then I lock in. And if you are locked in on this video, hit that subscribe button because it's free and it supports the channel. And maybe I'll remember to stop saying locked in for the rest of the video. Probably not, sorry. And if you have your finances locked in, I would really appreciate it if you would consider supporting this channel financially. For $5 a month, you can see every single video early. Last month, the money that I earned from the Tantacles literally paid for one of my videos to be edited, because good editing costs money. So if you're able, I would really appreciate it. Click the link in the description to become one of the Tantacles. Thank you. Anyway, try number 2, I shoot to remove the shields, and what I actually lock in on is this. And I missed. You guys. Okay, that was bad. And you might be thinking, wow, Tantacles, you die a lot. Yup, gotta get the counter, right? Or just the dodge. And I did not. And on my next try, I decide that I just have to learn the dodges, so I go for breaking rules again. But unfortunately, what I decided would happen is not what happens, and I die. And I make another decision here. I think glass cannon needs to go away. Why do I not have burning shots equipped, guys? Removing this will let me take 25% less damage, which I hope will be helpful for my survival. So I go into defensive stance before the cultist jumps. Okay, let's see if I can do this. That was lame, but I did survive it. But I don't survive the next one, and I die. But on the next try, I hit a clutch counter, and I decide to take a risk. After marking her, I use breaking rules to remove shields, hit hard, and heal from healing mark. But I have to parry a huge combo. Okay, 1 hit is okay. Just 1 hit is fine, because now I go like that, and I just attacked. And that'll bring us back into defensive, so I'm semi-safe. Semi. Got it. Okay, good. Okay, good. That's what I needed. So I use Breaking Rules again, which heals and restores my AP. And on the next attack, I hit every single parry and counter, giving me a chance to strike. But now, there's a jump strike. Oh! Just freaking barely. Wow. So I take the opportunity to shoot and then physically attack, going back into defensive stance, which means the battle is as good as won if I can survive one last combo, which I do. So my final act in this awful battle is removing the cultist's shields, and she burns to death. I have an unfortunate mishap with the Patank, but we need to speed through to the boss. And unfortunately, we can't, because before we can fight Sirene, I need a Pictos from Tisseur, her costume designer. Tisseur always starts the battle by casting Curse, which starts a countdown to death, kind of like Doom in Final Fantasy. But fortunately, I have Cleansing Tint, meaning if I use any item on myself, I can heal the status. So I switch to defensive stance with Spark to burn him and stall a bit. And since I missed the next dodge anyway, it's a no-brainer to heal and remove the Doom status on my next turn. And while I do inadvertently switch into offensive stance with a physical attack, I'm able to parry his Glissando, avoiding the damage and dealing a damage-capped hit in return. But I attack to switch back into defensive stance and heal myself on the next turn. A few attacks later, things are looking optimistic. I shoot to burn him and then switch back to Virtuose stance, and he chokes, using a sweeping attack that allows for jump counters, of which I hit 2, and this allows me to take him out with one more shot. And the Pictos that I wanted from this battle was Anti-Charm, which we will definitely need in just a minute. I then fight the giant worm Glissando, who doesn't present too much difficulty, but then it's time to fight a giant woman. And this battle has some super neat tech that I don't understand before I start. These floating dolls can cast Charm on a party member, and they will try to do so on every turn. However, they do no damage, and their attacks are incredibly rhythmic, so once I learn them, I should be able to counter. And Sirene herself has a seduction spell that should also be reasonably counterable given it's a one-strike gradient attack, and I do miss it the first time it comes out. But now, I'm aware that it's there.
And knowing is half the battle.
But Sirene eventually starts the Grand Ballet, which consists of 5 strikes. But what really matters is the first strike. Dead. Dead. Dead! And try number 2 starts off with a bang. I counter the 2 Glissando strikes and I burn Sirene, switching to defensive form. But then I hit a massive counter off of a Charm Dancer. This heals me because of burning fire, or healing counter. I'm not sure which one actually, but I healed. That's what matters. So I switch back to Virtuose and the ballet begins anew. Okay. That was not my worst. And Sirene's next attack is Ground Pound, which I managed to parry completely. That means that my health is largely restored, and to add insult to injury, I parry her next charm attempt too. And I wish this battle were more exciting, but parrying the charm dolls allows me to heal after every strike as long as Sirene is burned. That means I can stay healthy without having to do too much. And I even managed to break her. And the funny thing is that even when broken, her charm dolls still allow for a nice parry. So now that she's low on health, I go full defensive. And I'm glad that I did, because there is a big attack coming. Oops. Thank God I'm defensive. Oops. That was not that bad. And in a last-ditch effort to kill me, Sirene sends out one final charm doll to finish the job. Got it. Got it! Woo! And with the second Axon destroyed, we can finally head to the monolith and fight the Paintress. On defeating Sirene, we get access to a new sword for Maelle, Barrier Breaker. I'm not sure if we're going to use this one, but I love its effect. Any shield I destroy with this weapon immediately becomes Maelle's shield. But there's something else. Oh, we got energizing turn. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. This Pictos gives 1 extra AP per turn and is incredibly powerful in a solo challenge where AP is limited. I also take a moment to fight twin mimes and I deliver death to them within a couple of minutes. Silently, of course. That's a lie. I've literally never been silent in my entire life. Stupid. But then, with everything squared away, I break the barrier and head straight to the monolith. Wait a minute. I've never done anything straight in my entire life. Look at this video of me swimming. Can't even swim straight. The fiercest obstacles of this challenge still lie ahead, and preparing will be half the battle. So after I get stymied by a fake foe, we climb. One Pictos we haven't talked about that will be crucial is Double Mark. This skill will remain equipped on Maelle for pretty much the rest of the game. This skill makes Mark, which increases any damage dealt to a marked enemy by 50%, need to be activated twice to be dispelled. And given that Mark has other effects that we've talked about before, I cannot get rid of this Pictos ever. I also want one of the Pictos from this merchant, Energizing Cleanse. This ability will dispel the first status effect of My god, I can't say this. This ability will dispel the first status effect afflicted upon Maelle in battle and give her 2 AP, providing a massive safety net. That only took 17 tries. The Chromatic Burgeon is my next impediment. And if you've played this game, you might remember that this enemy type will eat up one of your characters, only spitting them out when he's broken. But fortunately, with only one character, he won't use that attack. And the first try just goes oh so well. And I died. Yeah, I say that when I'm live sometimes too, because it amuses me. But anyway, he is dispatched quite quickly on my second try. And I don't get any Pictos, but the Lumina points and the pride of winning are enough for me. I also managed to destroy another P-code here, so yay, more resources. Listen folks, I'm not the GigaChad gamer I wish I were. I need all the resources I can get, particularly since there is one man who does not want me to fight the Paintress. Renoir. He's back, he's cracked, and he's ready to attack. But this time, I'm ready, because many of his attack patterns are the same as before. Damn it! I aim to get a mark to start, and then I use Mezzo Forte to reclaim my AP so I can use Flirt Fury. And I should mention that I also have another secret weapon, the Stay Marked Pictos. Once a character is marked, attacking them gives a 50% chance of reapplying that mark, meaning it's possible to massively reduce Renoir's damage and boost my own with this Pictos. And this stacks with the Double Mark ability. Because he's still marked, that's good. But none of that really matters. Damn it! He broke me! Yeah, Renoir is up to his old shenanigans, and the last strike of his melee combo can break. This means I'm now out of Virtuose stance, so my momentum is slowed. But I do dodge most of his next attack, so things are looking up. So up that I managed to deal enough damage to enter Renoir's second phase. What's this? Wait, what's this?
Your sister deserves more.
I forget what this is. Oh, God, I forgot about this. Oh, crap. I think I might be in trouble. So Renoir is healed and everything gets harder because Renoir now gets 2 attacks in a row, but he only needs 1. But I notice a flaw in my strategy. I had equipped Confident and Confident Fighter, making Maelle unable to heal. So those are coming off. And I also realize another blunder. But of course, all of that doesn't matter at all. Holy hell, I didn't have Last Stand Critical equipped, guys. That's why I wasn't critting all the time. time. The next attempt sees the return of the doggo, and I get completely bodied by a chroma strike, and right away, I died. But with each attempt, I get a little closer. Well, okay, eventually that's the case, but not this time, because I lied. I don't even reach phase 2 on the next attempt. Oh, and not on the attempt after that either. Oh, that was a rough timing right there. But on the next one, I go into Virtuoso stance and heal right before the doggo comes out, which is good because I completely whiff my next parry. Oh, I was so close. And one attack later, it's over. I'm not winning, total noob. I'm losing. And honestly, the next attempt is my worst, and Maelle gets vanished almost immediately. Right away. But on the next one, the doggo comes out again, and I'm ready to rock this pussycat. I'm finally hitting the parries. Got it. Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, good. Not my worst. I stay defensive, and I finally see an opening because Renoir is ready to be broken. So I switch to Virtuoso stance, I hit a jump counter, and then I hit 2 out of 3 parries from the doggo strike. So it's time to use Fleuret Fury to break Renoir and steal away his next turn. And this time, I'm truly locked in. Ha! Got it. Oh my freaking god. It's working. Holy crap. So I shoot him and go defensive. I have a plan. After parrying the doggo's next attack, I parry just well enough to survive for the next 2 consecutive attacks. And Renoir uses a melee attack, which could break, but I block it. Okay. Okay. Oh crap. Thank God I got that. And now I see the path forward because Maelle's Gradient Strike pops her into Virtuoso stance. And this means she gets a second turn. So I play. I think this is it. I think I got him. 1. He's gonna die. You guys, I did it. You guys, I did it. Yes! And Renoir yields one of the most incredible Pictos in this game. Second Chance, which automatically revives a dead character 1 time per battle. And I will need this skill for the upcoming fight with the Paintress. With Renoir defeated, it's time to tackle the humongous artist herself. So let's not dilly-dally. This video is long enough, right? But spoiler warning here. If you haven't beaten the game yet, you need to save this video and watch this part later. I will give you 5 seconds to get out. Glad you're still here. I start the battle with 2 turns, so I shoot to mark and attack with Fleuret Fury. Unfortunately, this depletes my AP, so I have to Mezzo Forte the next turn to stay in Virtuoso stance. And then I begin to see that this battle is going to suck, because the Paintress summons Void Meteors, and just take a look at this attack. Oh, so close. You'll notice that the first meteor is all about reflex. There's virtually no indicator that it's coming. The rest are just a rhythm game. And this time, I get lucky. You'll see what I mean by that in a bit. But it doesn't matter now because her next attack is an easily blockable Gradient Strike. But the next one, compared to anything... Uh-oh. That was a death. And you might think that the battle is over, but remember that Second Chance Pictos? Well, it brings me right back and I'm ready to go. Oh, Second Chance activated! Amazing. Okay, I'm okay. Everything's fine, guys. Everything's not fine. And my next problem is this wave of chroma attack. And yes, I survived that, but this would not be a Tantacles video if the suffering were over. And the Paintress queues up a Void Meteor attack. 5. Broken. Dead. Okay. If more than one of the meteors hits, you're at risk of being broken. And that's what happens, which means I can't dodge any more meteors. So I die. The second attempt, I start with a Flurret Fury and then go defensive. And she brings out the Void Meteors. Okay, I got this. I got this. Okay, I almost got it. Because of healing parry, I'm still at full health, so I transition back into Virtuose stance. The next attack is a gradient attack, which is an easy parry, followed by the release of Chroma Waves. That attack is rough stuff, guys. And the roughest part is that my second chance is now used up. And let me be real with you, I'm gonna need it for the second phase of the battle because yes, there are 2 phases of the battle. And yes, I just spoiled how this attempt is going to go. Not that I knew that in the moment. Okay, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. So I die. This is going to suck for me, but not for you guys. You guys are gonna fucking live. Attempt number 3 starts out mostly the same, and I have a plan. And so now she's gonna get 2 in a row, so I cannot be in Virtuose here. I'm gonna wait until she's not getting 2 in a row, is my hope. So we're gonna Mezzo Forte here. But you know what? I'm gonna use up all of my AP. Crap, I did it wrong. Crap! Oh, I messed up, guys. I messed up. I didn't save 1 AP. I guess I just go strong energy tint, because why not? I hit the next gradient counter, and then I get some rocks thrown at me, which doesn't go too well, so I go defensive again. I parry some stuff, I see an opening, and I go into Virtuose stance. And then we get some more Void Meteors. Okay, here we go. I gotta get good at this one. Pretend that you don't know what's about to happen. If I can just get the frickin' first one.
Ready to go. Ready to parry.
Oh my god! She got me. She got me, guys. Okay, at least I'm not stunned, though. Okay, that was good. Good. And she's still marked. That's good. Okay, I saved that remarkably well. And that gradient counter filled up the Paintress's break gauge. So I switch back into Virtuose form and break her. And then I switch back into defensive form once I'm done. And from here on out, I'm staying defensive. Until, of course, the Paintress's health is close to depleted. Because then I switch into Virtuose stance to deal the finishing blow. But we've just gotten started, as have my remedial French courses. And now I think it's time for phase 2. Phase 2. Phase 2. Why? But it's not all bad because the Paintress's first attack is big, telegraphed, and honestly completely parryable. Granted, I only parry 2 strikes, but that is better than nothing. So I shoot again, she gets marked, and then... Uh-oh. That's terrible. That was awful, but second chance kicked in, so I'm okay at least, but not for long.
On me.
Oh my god. Missed like all of those guys. It's over. It's Jover. But my appetite for pain is not yet sated, and on the next attempt, I don't even make it back to phase 2. And I'm dead. I'm totally dead. Okay, guys. And I am even more inept on my next attempt, and I die. And on the next try, I lose my second chance in the first phase, but I manage to break the Paintress as I go into the second phase. And this means that once phase 2 starts, I get the first attack, so I'm able to switch into defensive stance. I manage to parry her first attack, healing and restoring her AP, and in a flash, her health is a quarter gone. And I'm sitting pretty at full health, ready to parry. Okay, let's see how this goes.
Of course you're still alive.
Dead. Dead. And then I backslide and just miss everything. But on the next try, I once again reach phase 2. But my hope doesn't last long. Oh, I was so close to having a reasonable day. And now I die probably from burn, right? Yep. And I realize that if this doesn't go well soon, I'm gonna need more therapy than can possibly be administered.
No amount of therapy will ever make this moment okay.
So I change around my Pictos to get myself some more health. This does decrease my speed, but given that certain attacks can simply one-shot me, that is a worthwhile sacrifice. And I'm able to make it to phase 2 with second chance available. And while my initial performance is somewhat lackluster, my extra health allows me to weather the storm. But about halfway through the Paintress's HP, my mind just clears. My confidence burgeons. Well, okay, I can dodge this. I can do this.
Better. Signals. Ready to go. Nice.
I freaking did that. Yes. So I decide to play aggressive and break the Paintress. But she has more tricks up her sleeve. She inflicts every negative status effect on Maelle, including Doom, and gives herself 9 shields. And I'll be honest here, I choke big time. And that sucked. But because my second chance is still active, Maelle is revived and play continues on. Slow and Steady will win the race here, so I shoot her 2 weak points. This raises Maelle's death counter higher and I plant myself firmly into defensive stance. And eventually, I switch into Virtuose stance with a gradient attack, shoot her a few times, and switch right back. So with just a sliver of health left, the Paintress unleashes, connecting 5 out of 8 times before I catch my bearings. But I survive, shoot, and stay defensive. And all it comes down to is one final parry. Come on. Yes! Yes! We have defeated the Paintress and stopped the Gamage, and the challenge is over. Okay, actually, we are not ready for the final boss music yet. Maelle has gotten really old really fast, and she's gained some huge new powers. Void Strike, which deals void damage to all enemies and refills 35% of a gradient charge, and Stendhal, which is a world-ending single-target attack that does huge damage. But even more important, the Paintress yielded the Painted Power Pictos. This allows Maelle to break the damage cap, dealing more than 9,999 damage. And this will be crucial. I also write in Gustav's journal, which I've actually been doing for the entire challenge, but just haven't talked about it, and I unlock Gustav's homage. This is my 3rd way to enter Virtuose stance and skyrocket my damage. And finally, I head to the fountain. Remember how I've been helping out all those white Nevrons? Well, if you help them out and don't kill them, the appropriately named Blanche has 100 Lumina points to hand over.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And Maelle is getting every single one. So now,
Let's go.
the first phase of Renoir is actually kind of funny. So can I actually just one-shot him? Because that would be hilarious. That completely wrecked him. So we've done it. We've beaten... Just kidding. I'm just kidding, you guys. It's phase 2. Get ready to watch me suffer. Renoir immediately pulls out a new brush sword, and his very first attack completely destroys me. Oh, I'm already second chance. Wow. So I go defensive, because that seems like my only chance. And, well... I just died right away, guys. I just immediately whiffed. So I play around with my Pictos a bit, not a euphemism, and I try again. And by the way, I cut out a lot of these challenges because if I didn't, the video would be like 20 hours long. So go take a look at the Discridly Dude. There's a link to a playlist with all of the challenges there. Let's go. Try number 2, I use Flirt Fury to start, which does nowhere near as much damage as Stendhal, so I don't one-shot the first form. And I was not ready for what happened next. What does this do? That kills me right away. That's what it does. And as usual, what ultimately does me in is a big black hole. Uh-oh, a hole! It's Jover. And speaking of Jover, I commit to Jovering Form 1 with Stendhal, so I won't be talking about it for the rest of this battle. Even so, Renoir starts with a different attack this time. Right away. And to add insult to injury, I have no AP, so I gotta restore him. Which doesn't matter because the next strike is another powerful one. I thought I dodged. I guess I didn't dodge. And I died. The next attempt, I once again lose my second chance right away, and I make little progress otherwise. But on the subsequent one, I finally survive his first attack, burn him with shots, and then go defensive. But defensive doesn't matter if you just get killed by the next strike, unfortunately. And after revival, I get my first perfect parry of the battle, and I go big. I use Stendhal to finish him off. And since we haven't talked about it yet, let me tell you about the downside of Stendhal. Yes, it does huge damage, but it also removes all shields and inflicts the defenseless buff on Maelle. And just to add insult to injury, Renoir now unleashes his power. I'm in a lot of trouble.
Ali, look at Alicia, she got me.
What am I supposed to do here? You guys, I don't know what to do. I don't know what do I do? I have concerns, guys.
Go home, Renoir. Go paint something else.
You guys, what's about to happen?
Why am I the only one who sees this?
Oh my god, I was so close. I didn't know what was about to happen, but you guys definitely did. So now, we do it all again. I lose my second chance early in the next try, and then Renoir unleashes his power once again. But I'm ready to parry. Missed it. I was not ready to parry. I try out a round using Confident next, but without healing, I'm dispatched almost immediately. And the next attempt honestly doesn't go much better. I got this. Why do I keep saying that? You know what happens when I say that. Play the tape. Oh, I was doing so well. The next try is about the same level of disaster as is the one immediately after, and a few more right after that, though I do get a smidge closer. But then something clicks, and I figure out that what I need is more health. So I equip Maelle with the Pictos for Painted Power, as opposed to just the ability. This increases her HP by around 2,000. And what this does is also improve my healing, because now a successful parry heals around 250 damage, which is huge. So by staying defensive, I'm able to stall until Renoir hits 1/4 of his health. I'm in Virtuose stance, and it's at this point that he unleashes his power one more time.
The only one who sees this.
Got it. We got this. It's over. No, it's over. There. Because now, I think it's over. I'm at full health. This is gonna do a lot. Will it do enough? I think he is dead. Are you kidding me? He gets another... I gotta parry this. It's gotta be a parry. But I parried it before. And I can parry it again. No, I win! Oh my god. Oh my god, I did it. And I also forgot to mention that I have the full strength Pictos equipped. When Maelle is at full health, she will deal 25% more damage. Okay, bye. But still, it's not over, because there is one more battle. We must choose between Verso and Maelle, but there's no choice. We must choose Maelle, because this is her story. And with one Stendhal, Verso is defeated and Maelle lives on as the most powerful paintress in existence. But her story isn't over. With Daddy defeated, there's plenty more to do, including one super boss that we'll talk about later. My first destination is the Dark Shores. The ghosties here are still pretty nasty at Maelle's current level, and she gets haunted to death. Already died, guys. Already died. So I ultimately decide that Maelle needs some more weapon and Pictos upgrades. And the first one I find is actually crucial. Rewarding Mark. This gives more AP if I hit an enemy with the Mark status. It's actually shocking that I missed this during the base game. It would have been a huge boon. What is going on with my hair today? But even with it, my next acquisition will not be easy, because it's held by my very wet friend Sprong. Sadly though, Stendhal only deals a third of his health, so I'm definitely doing this the hard way. His first attack is a 2-hit combo, and I dodge one of his strikes. But then he destroys Maelle with some beam strikes, and her second chance is used up. But oddly, even though I fail to dodge, his physical attacks just don't do too much, and his beams are also not doing too much. I died, but I'm not giving up that easy. So I'm gonna leave that for later. I next head over to the floating cemetery, and it's time to fight this hammer dude. And fortunately, Stendhal is enough to remove him from existence and nab the auto-powerful Pictos. I then fly over to this chromatic diminueur, and I'm able to shoot him to completion right away, grabbing a new weapon, the Angereme. But then things get complicated. A lot of Pictos are hidden in plain sight, like this one on top of the train. You have to come from above and slide down this rope to grab it. I love the thrill of exploration, but without a map, I'm hopeless. My sense of desperation is almost bad as my sense of direction. But once I finally grab that Pictos, I find that it's burn affinity, which increases damage on burned enemies. And given my enemies will almost always be burning, this is a huge one. Before I do anything else though, I take a moment to upgrade Maelle's weapon. This will increase her damage markedly, and really I should have done that hours ago. And I was just in time because my final battle is with the boss of this area, Gargant. But even with all of these improvements, Stendhal still doesn't one-shot him, and then he wrecks me with his massive muscles. But even worse, his next attack freezes Maelle, and with only her in the party, I can't cure it, I can't block, and I die. My second try starts much the same way, but I manage to break him before he can freeze me. Not that it matters, because he eventually does it again, and then boils Maelle alive. And the next time too. And honestly, I just wanted to crawl into a hole and die, but Maelle already did the latter, and the former now feels pointless. Ultimately though, I make good use of my burning affinity Pictos by shooting to cause burn. This gets me a huge damage bonus, and I'm able to finish him off in one hit. But there's one more enemy that I need to go after, a mime. And fortunately, I'm able to break the mime relatively quickly and burn it down, nabbing another outfit and finishing off this area. My next destination though presents a complication, the Chosen Path. This area requires each character to fight a boss battle independently. So of course I start with Maelle, who's able to take down her target in one hit. And while I don't like the fact that I can't let Maelle do all the work here and I decide to come back later, I do think that it's generally cool that areas like this encourage you to raise all of your characters. I just don't like it in this challenge specifically. In order to progress on my 100% journey, the next stop is the Sacred River. Here, there's a Gestrel merchant who, after being beaten to a pulp, has a ton of Pictos for sale, and this will save me time hunting for them later. And speaking of hunting, a big part of 100%ing this game is hunting down all of the records from prior expeditions. There are a crap ton of them, and while I try to get them passively, it's just impossible. But I did find this one, and you can see how much work is left before we're done. The bosses, though, generally aren't a ton of work. It's basically Stendhal, rinse, and repeat. No. Sprong, though, is still not one-shottable, and he does eventually use up Maelle's second chance. Oops. Oops, she's dead. But even though I have some trouble dodging, a second Stendhal does the trick. That gets me one of the most important Pictos in this challenge, Cheater. This will allow Maelle to get 2 turns in a row no matter what. But there's one more Pictos we need, and it's from the other overworld boss, Serpentfair. And this one takes even less damage from Stendhal. Its gimmick is that it can absorb all gained AP, and if he absorbs enough, something special happens. Before the special thing happens though, I'm able to break him, and he continues to absorb AP as I shoot him. My next Stendhal brings him down to 1/4 health, but then I get slammed to death and I die. On try number 2, my Stendhal immediately does a cool 3 million damage, and I finally get good. At least mostly, and parry some head strikes. But this time, I use Mezzo Forte twice so that I can stuff this snake's belly with AP. This causes him to explode, and I parry his explosion for a teensy-weensy bit of extra damage. And by the way, this explosion is one of the most fun attacks to parry in all of Clair Obscur. I love how rhythmic it is, and it's a nice change from a lot of the parries in this game. They tend to follow a pattern of enemy threatens attack, fakes you out with a 2-second delay, and then wrecks your shit. Anyway, I parry the next attack, and then I switch to Virtuose stance. I'm on fire now, and I parry the next silencing attack too, but the next tail attack wrecks and uses up my revive, and then beams me up to heaven. With some changes in setup though, I'm able to almost double my Stendhal damage on the next attempt, and in the least climactic ending ever, I'm able to finish it off with just one more, gaining the Energy Master Pictos. This will give me a ton of extra AP that I will need for the upcoming challenges. Before I move on to the next obstacle though, I head back to camp. I then complete as many affinity cutscenes as possible. These scenes are melancholy and sweet, but admittedly doing them all at once is like chugging 3 jars of peanut butter with no milk in sight. Man, it's delicious, but things get dry really fast.
Almost kind of like your vagina.
Despite my attempt to binge though, finishing this part of 100% requires I battle Francois, and Francois will only fight Verso. And the first time I fight him, it doesn't go well. So I leave it alone for now and continue my deep chats.
Raising.
But after that, we're back to hunting. While it's not technically required for achievements, hunting chromatic enemies is the easiest way to get many of the Pictos and weapons I'll need to complete 100%. And fortunately, with Maelle now at peak fitness with an upgraded weapon, most of them are pretty easy. In fact, most of them go down to a single Stendhal. The chromatic glissando, though, has a fun gimmick. After dying, it inflicts dizzy and then splits into 3 dancers. The dancers are therefore harder to hit, but each only takes 1 shot to defeat. And defeating this enemy opens up Lune's affinity scenes, which are crucial to completing this challenge. And also crucial to completing this challenge is defeating as many mimes as possible, including what I would describe as the chromatic mime. And if I failed at fighting this mime, I would be... never mind, he's pretty easy to break. And I don't even Stendhal him, he just burns to death. He also yields the funniest Pictos in the game, the One, which permanently reduces health to 1 HP. The Gestral Arena in the sky also has some interesting enemies to one-shot, with the most important being Golgra. And she's only more important because Maelle now needs a new haircut. As I collect, I do take some time to appreciate the scenery.
These guys are so cute. Aren't these guys just adorable? Like, I just want to fly into the little mountain. Oh, no.
But I do fly to the Endless Tower, a gauntlet of enemies that gets gradually harder as you climb. And things start out pretty easy, but the enemies do eventually reach a point where I can't one-shot them. But they are still not unsurmountable. On Stage 9, Trial 3, though, I finally encounter enemies that can one-shot Maelle, so a single miss is enough for them to poison her pudding.
Wow.
The second try, I'd get rid of the dancer first, because I think she's the hardest to dodge, but I still end up wasting my second chance on the left of Vec. And yes, I learned to pronounce that in between making this video and the last one. But anyway, I use Maelle's Virtuose Strike to change stance, and she's able to take out Lefty before he can strike again. And with him dead, I'm able to one-shot the other one with Stendhal. That leaves 3 more battles. I hard fail the next one right away.
And I'm dead.
Twice. But the third time, I get good. Somehow, the subsequent fight in the gauntlet is actually easier, but the one after...
oh, these guys!
Not so much. And I die. Basically, this battle combines 3 of the hardest to dodge enemies of the game with a massive amount of HP and attack power. But after defeating the 2 nerds on the right, I'm left with just Dualiso. His next strike drops Maelle's HP to critical, but like a religious influencer predicting the rapture, my delusion is at maximum strength. So I know I can win. But also like a religious influencer predicting the rapture does not arrive, and I die.
Oh, no! That was the jump dodge!
And try number 2 is honestly worse. But try number 3, after isolating Dualiso, I find his break meter at peak. And by breaking him, I'm also able to double his burn count, which deals 2 million damage. So with another Stendhal, I'm able to finish him off. That leaves just 2 more battles. And the penultimate battle is not too bad, but they truly save the best for last. A fight with the Paintress and her nasty-ass husband. The two have 1 health bar but separate burn counters, and I get them to extremely low health. But then I get wrecked by a pretty paintbrush. And the second try doesn't go much better, nor the third one. Or the fourth one. But on try number 5, I've refined my blocking and I kill the marked man with a huge Stendhal. And the reward is outfits, which means it's time to make Maelle into a bald queen. But not for long, because I soon fight another mime and I can't resist the call of the baguette. In any case, while battles have thus far been the biggest obstacle, Maelle is about to encounter a sandy surprise. The Gestral beaches are both my most loved and my most hated part of the game. I love a platforming challenge, but I'm also a mega klutz, meaning these can potentially take forever to complete. But the first one, which is basically just climbing up a wall with fireballs coming at me, is an immediate success. But I next attempt what I think is the worst one, climbing the tower. There are just so many ways to fail. You can just miss a grab, you can overjump a bed, or sidestep a pillar.
I'm on random rocks.
Slip off a statue, or skull bash a wheel.
Are you kidding me?
But perseverance wins out, and I eventually make it to the top. Then I tackle my favorite one, the shooter game. The delay on this game is ridiculous, and a few shots is enough to wreck your floating boards. But what I really admire about this game is that it really drives home the unifying message present in every one of my videos. Don't buy a boat. I also find it funny that the guy is literally launching his friends at you, not just normal cannonballs, so it's ultimately the power of his friendship that is his own demise. The next in the logbook is this parkour beach. It isn't too bad, and it yields a bikini. And the final Gestral beach is a timed race to the top. This takes me 3 tries to complete, but gets me some abs. And with that, it's time to regroup and figure out what I'm missing. At this juncture, I still have a crap ton of achievements remaining. And sadly, I'll have to head into New Game Plus to get some of them, eventually. Because first, I want to go to the hardest section of the game, Renoir's Drafts. Unfortunately though, Esquier needs to go underwater to make that happen, which means now I need to head back into that fight with Francois that I skipped before. And without leveling him up or giving him any Pictos, Verso is able to dispatch Francois easily, giving Esquier the ability to dive, which means it's time to head below water. The enemies here are souped up versions of their predecessors, and the merchant here is no exception, though he isn't particularly threatening to a souped up Maelle. But there is one enemy that will take Maelle to her limits. One frightening friend who will take every tool in my arsenal to defeat, Simon. And we will talk about him a bit later. I fight a bunch more chromatics to grab some weapons, and then I decide to pin my focus on Minoko. To learn all of Minoko's skills, I need to defeat enemies with him in the party, but I can still let Maelle do all the damage. The most efficient place to do this is the Endless Tower. There, I have access to a ton of different enemy archetypes, and by fighting the enemies there, I'm able to grab all but 4 of his enemy skills. To get the next one, I head back to Renoir's Drafts, where I get the Foot of a Creation and Contorsioniste in the same battle. But with 2 feet to go, I take a break to fight the Chromatic Creation, one of the only monsters left who isn't one-shot by Stendhal. Sadly though, 2 Stendhals is all it takes. But after that, I head to the canvas to fight the Sakopatate Ranger, yielding 1 more foot and leaving just 1 more to go. Before I grab the final foot though, Minoko has an in-battle achievement he needs to gain as well. By having him use 4 upgraded skills in battle in a row, he gains the Wheel Control achievement. And then I defeat the Chromatic Petanque. And I max out Lune's affinity with Verso next, you bad boy. And since we're already on other characters' achievements now, there are several that require specific battle conditions to complete. For example, on Lune, using 4 stains on 4 consecutive turns finishes off the Perfect Flow achievement. And using 24 Tel in a turn with Ciel gets us the Maximization achievement. And getting Verso to rank S yields the Perfection achievement. But before we continue, a footnote. namely the Gross Tete's Foot, which does not yield an achievement yet, but does get me the last of Minoko's monster skills. And I should note that the Gross Tete I fought is not the one in the overworld, but rather the one in the Flying Manor. And this place is key to our next achievement, Clea. But before I can Clea up that next achievement, I need Clea's Dew, which I can get by killing a mime and stealing its hair. Yay. I also have to whack the 4 bosses of this area, though that's just a matter of one-shotting them. But the boss of this area is the inspiration behind Maelle's new haircut, Clea herself. If she lands a hit, she'll heal oodles of HP, making her a challenge for an unoptimized team. But with Maelle literally able to deal hundreds of thousands of damage per shot and even more with Stendhal, I'm able to one-round her easily. Esquier provides the next solution. A quick conversation yields the Esquier achievement. Minoko's achievement, though, requires a battle with Golgra, but with a Verso who has been over-leveled with Maelle's leftovers, she's no big deal. And once we chat with him, we actually complete 2 achievements. Minoko for just that, and Feat Collection for acquiring all of his skills. The next 3 hours of play are spent gathering journals. There are a bajillion of them, and they're literally everywhere. Back in Old Lumiere, and some new areas I haven't explored, and some on the world map, which also allows me to find some lost Gestrels. And heading back to the monolith and into a mansion door, I grab the final journal entry, completing the Follow the Trail achievement. The next achievement is to help all of the incomplete Nevrons, and the Dancer Nevron sadly can only be waltzed out by Lune. However, the battle itself isn't the issue. The issue is getting down to this little area right here. As I mentioned before, I am super directionally challenged, and it took me about a half hour, but I eventually made it there. This battle is all about parrying a long series of attacks, and if you miss even one, you have failed. Sorry, clarification, I failed. And then I died. But it takes just one more try to take her out. And the final white Nevron is this dude who just requires a donation, which completes aiding the enemy. The painting workshops contain the next target, an easily Stendhalable reskin of Lantern Guy, and he yields the Noir et Blanc achievement. By having Maelle fight the merchant over and over in Renoir's drafts, Maelle grows to level 99, yielding the Survivor achievement. The Lost Gestrels is the next achievement, and I've found most of them, but chatting with this dude enveloped in a rotting forest wins me the achievement. I briefly dip into a new game, not a new game plus, to defeat the game's first mime and nab a peculiar encounter. But before I can complete that achievement, I am missing a ton of Pictos and weapons. Some from merchants, some in areas that I just forgot to explore, and some under these tree rock things. And the final weapon I require is an interesting one. Way earlier when Maelle fought Ciel, she initially lost. When that happened, Ciel got a weapon that you can only get in that tournament. Well, there's one other way to get it. By fighting Golgra with Ciel, that weapon can finally be obtained. But you have to win the fight, which does not happen the first few times I try. But eventually, I prevail and gain a Hevison, so the collectathon is complete. Well, almost. There's one more record to obtain and one more achievement to fulfill. Well, actually, I lied. There are actually 2 more achievements, because earlier, I skipped something big. The big bad super boss of Expedition 33. Simon's first phase is not an issue at all for Maelle. She Stendhals and it dies. The second phase, though, requires a little more finesse. It is impossible to one-shot him due to his enormous health pool, so I focus my initial efforts on shooting and burning him. And he does take over 1.4 million damage from burn, but he immediately takes out Maelle, using up her second chance. And I kind of made a mistake here. I equipped Maelle with a skill that gives her shields on revival. Simon is able to steal shields from her, making my burns ineffectual. Not that it matters, because he swipes, swoops, and slashes, and I die. I also made the mistake of not equipping Cheater for some reason. That means Maelle only got 1 action instead of her usual 2 on each turn. So on the next try, she Stendhals phase 1 to death, and I once again burn him as much as possible. After both actions, I Mezzo Forte to keep Maelle in Virtuose stance, where her burns will do far more damage. And this time, he takes 2.5 million damage from burns alone. And while Simon's next set of strikes doesn't kill Maelle, he's able to use his special skill to drop her health to 1 HP. So I shoot him on Maelle's next turn, Mezzo Forte, and then Stendhal for 10 million. After which, he immediately kills her, activating Second Chance. Fortunately though, I dodge most of the attacks on his next turns, and then I put her back in Virtuose stance for her next action, and immediately get wrecked. But I got a little bit farther, so we try again, starting with insta-killing phase 1. And this time, my dodging skill is actually pretty clutch. My second Stendhal takes him below half health, and then I realize my dodging skill is actually not so clutch. But after Second Chance, I managed to dodge just enough to stay alive, which is pretty clutch. So I take my clutch and switch Maelle into Virtuose stance after burning him with shots. Then I hit another 4.5 million damage Stendhal and get wrecked. Womp womp. But on attempt number 4, after some adjustments, I managed to get my first Stendhal to deal over 16 million damage. And I managed to parry Simon's entire first attack, dealing 3 million damage on counter. Maelle at this point has shields because of her abilities, so I take a risk. Simon is going to steal her shields anyway, so I just use Stendhal to deal a ton of damage and get rid of them. And while I do use up Maelle's Second Chance, I dodge the next set of attacks entirely. And even better, Simon's break gauge is now full. That means Maelle's first shot breaks him, so I switch her into Virtuose stance. And since it's now do or die, I shoot him as much as possible and pray for a mark, which I do not get. But even so, my gradient gauge is now full, so I hit Gamage.
Get out of this campus.
Come on. Sadly, there's one small problem. I missed a record by forgetting to write in Gustav's journal with Maelle earlier in the game. So I start a new game plus, go all the way to Mask Keeper, and write in Gustav's journal to get the final record, Lettre à Maelle. And even though every single record is now on this file, the final achievement does not show up. So I have failed to 100% Expedition 33 with only Maelle, despite doing all of the things. So go watch me 100% Final Fantasy VIII with Selfie to make me feel better. I forgot that he's doing laundry right now. So much vibration under me. My butt.